Hi, it's Watercolor with Wendy, and I want to share my interest in a new artist that I've learned about. And I would like to introduce Rachel Perls. Is that right? Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Okay. And she's going to tell us all about her studio and all the things that she's doing that I was very interested because she lives in my neighborhood, although we've just met. And I was walking down the street one day, College Avenue, where very sadly one of my favorite bookstores had burned down. And it was really sad to walk past that. But then one day, this beautiful flower appeared, giant. And some of you know I do giant flowers in watercolor, but are you using acrylic, right? Is that correct?
Yes. For the
Right.
murals, it's acrylic. Yeah.
So she made this beautiful mural of giant flowers, and she's going to tell us about it. But also, I went a little further down the street later on, and there were two more. So there's three of them, and they're just wonderful. They really dress up the neighborhood. So, Rachel, could you tell us how you got to the place you are now with your career?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me on your podcast. This is my very first podcast interview ever. So pretty excited.
Okay.
I got my degree in art studio back in the 90s from UC Davis. And so I've always had art related careers. Um, I worked for doing graphic design. I painted edible cakes during the internet boom. I had a pet portrait painting business where I harnessed the psychology of color to capture a pet's personality traits. Um, and I also started doing architectural color consulting, which is basically where I will specify the color of building materials, which is primarily paint, but sometimes it's flooring or tile or upholstery. And I'm absolutely fascinated by how a space can affect how you feel in it.
Mhm.
So if you are in a room that has wonderful lighting and and it's a beautiful color and you just feel happy and safe and comfortable and energized in it, versus being in a space that feels cold or sterile or imposing. So I've always been really fascinated by how color affects us on many different levels. And back in 2016, I started painting flowers really big. And my entry flower was a peony. And we had just purchased, my husband and I had just purchased our first home, and with this big empty wall. And I had this vision of what I wanted for the wall. And I searched on Etsy and Minted, and I looked in galleries, and I just could not find it. And then it struck me that I have a degree in art studio, and I could probably just paint it myself.
Right. Well, can
so,
you
so
tell
I
me
painted
why
the.
is peony a favorite flower, or you just like very paintable flower, isn't it?
Well, I was very attracted to its ruffly, sort of delicate quality. It has like a million ruffly, sort of feathery, light petals, and they're all very sort of delicate and scallopy. And I don't know why it came into my mind because I didn't necessarily have a favorite flower at the time. But I think I had seen them in flower shops, and just felt like a huge zoomed in, light, pale, shell pink peony on my wall was exactly what I needed and wanted. So then I took a deep dive into painting flowers,
Uh,
um, and peonies led to dahlias,
yeah.
and I've sort of been stuck with dahlias ever since.
Oh yeah, the dollies are the best.
Yes, they are. There's so many varieties
Yeah.
and so many shapes and colors and forms, and they just absolutely blow my mind. So I've been working at painting huge dahlias. And I joke that the biggest painting I do is the one that will fit in my car, which is 40 inches wide by
Yeah.
72 inches long.
Yes.
So as long as the panel is that size, I can fit it, transport it. Anything bigger, can't do it. So then I started doing diptychs and triptychs, which is a multi-panel piece. And then recently, when the bookstore in our neighborhood burned down, um, I had been working on panels to put temporarily in front of a neighborhood coffee shop that was being moved from one spot to the other. And at first, they had a big construction wall up, and it was just getting covered in graffiti. And it's right at the end of my street, so every time I walked down the street, I saw this plywood just covered in graffiti.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw that too. Yeah.
yeah, and it bothered me. It really
Oh,
bothered.
yeah.
And so I had reached out to the landlord, and then the landlord was supposed to connect with the owner of the coffee shop, and it took so long that by the time we coordinated, they were taking down the wall anyways. But I was able to put panels, temporary panels, on the inside of the windows where the brown paper that they often put up during construction would be. And so while I was painting, installing these temporary panels, the landlord said, I own the store, the bookstore building that burned down. Would you like to paint the plywood for that storefront before it starts getting tagged? And I thought that was a fabulous idea.
Oh, yeah.
So in the meanwhile, I was painting out of my home, where I've always had an office space that sort of does double duty as my color consulting space and my painting space. But the panels that I was working on were so big that I could only do like one or two at a time, and then I'd have to shift them over and add another one. And I finally decided to bite the bullet and rent a studio space.
Oh, wow. Where was it?
So I'm sitting in it now.
Oh,
It's in an area of Oakland called Golden Gate. It's sort of an industrial area with a lot of warehouses that have been converted into studio spaces. So it's kind of like partially residential, partially warehousey, kind of at the border of Oakland and Emeryville.
yeah.
Yeah, so it sort of pushed me when I was working on the coffee shop mural and realizing, okay, I really need to go bigger, and I really don't have the space in my studio,
Very
my
good.
studio. Yeah. So then I reached out to the landlord who had inquired about painting the bookstore mural. And I said, "You don't happen to have any studio properties?" And he said, "As a matter of fact, I do." So we looked at three, and just like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, the last one was just right.
Oh, wow. That's
Uh,
great.
yeah,
Serendipitous.
so for the first time in my art career, I have this beautiful dedicated space, which was perfect timing because the panels for the bookstore, they actually cut them out for each of the broken window panes and brought them to my studio.
Oh, that was great.
And so I was able to mount the panels on the walls in the exact formation that they would be, installed on the bookstore facade. And so I was able to paint that mural in my studio, which was just delightful.
I'm very relieved to hear it because I thought you'd be out there painting on the street. This is so much better.
Yes, yes. So that one was very nice, because I got to be a diva and paint in my own studio. And I bought a scaffolding that I could roll around so that I could get up to the 10-foot mark. And that was wonderful. And then they just installed that for me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just started seeing opportunities. It was a chance for me to paint bigger than would fit in my car, and I loved the idea of embracing art that would be shared with the general public.
I
Uh,
love that.
get so many comments from people saying, "Thank you so much for giving us this beautiful temporary piece of art for the neighborhood. It's so much better than the graffiti."
Oh
uh,
yeah.
which has ceased entirely.
Oh, have you gotten any graffiti on top? I didn't
No,
see any. I
no,
didn't think so. They'll
yeah.
leave you alone. Yeah.
So far, knock on wood, they have left it alone, which is wonderful. And so I just started looking for more opportunities to do public facing art instead of fi- sort of focusing on the fine art that would be sold to someone to put in their private residence
Yeah.
or office space. And the next one that I did was on another construction wall, that I was able to nab right in the beginning, so we didn't have to wait and lose the opportunity. And it was this huge expanse of plywood that sort of wrapped all the way around the side of a building on a street corner. And
Is that the
by
Ethiopian restaurant?
the
That one?
Ethiopian,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And by then, I was in close contact with the Rockridge District Association, which was very excited to have me paint another mural.
Mhm.
And so this one I had to do on site
Oh.
because the plywood was already up, and they were not going to be bringing me plywood to my studio.
But
Um,
what was that like painting with people walking by?
You know, it's a mixed bag. On the one hand, people are so gracious and so excited and enthusiastic, and they stop and they want to know what's going in, because the building has been boarded up since COVID.
Oh yeah.
Um, so everyone was excited to have a new restaurant, and they wanted to know what I was painting and what was the final piece going to look like. So that was really fun. It was it definitely made focusing harder, because I had to keep the sidewalk clear. And occasionally I'd have someone who absolutely would not walk around my tarp and would sort of kick it out of the way. You know, it's
Oh.
sidewalk and you need to move it. And
Wow.
you're dealing with the elements, so the sun would come beating down, and the paint would just dry the minute it hit the surface.
Great.
So that was definitely a learning curve for me. And I prefer to paint in my studio because I have a controlled environment
Oh yeah.
where bugs aren't going to get stuck in the wet paint. And if I need a clean bucket of water, I have a sink and all of these wonderful things. And when I'm working in public, I have to set everything up and then I have to take everything away.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so it's a lot of schlepping, you know, moving things.
I've done it myself, so I know what you're talking about. I would not do it at my age, but I salute you.
Yes, yes. Or if I forget something at the studio, then I either have to, leave the site and go and bring it back. So it's more schlepping. It's more of an inconvenience. But for that site,
Oh yeah.
that's what the situation. I am trying to convince future um, mural clients to embrace the idea of mural cloth. I don't know if you're familiar with this material.
No.
It's really cool. It's called polytab, and
Uh-huh.
it's like a parachute cloth. It's really thin,
Wow.
and there are companies that will prime it for you. And there's even a company that will print out a ghost image of your mural. So you order it and you send them a file, and they'll print out kind of like a little outline for you
Oh, that's so convenient.
on it. Yes. And then you can hang the panels up in your studio and paint them off site. And then they get installed using kind of like a gel. It's called Nova Gel,
Oh,
which is almost like a wallpaper's paste.
wow.
But it makes the murals much more durable because instead of having either spray paint, which is very thin and tends to not last very long on the surface, or paint, which every paint has a different kind of chemical makeup. And so some will fade and some won't, and some will crack and some will peel. And so after a number of years, the surface will sort of degrade. Whereas with the parachute cloth, the polytab, all of the paint soaks into the fabric and then is sealed on top with the Nova Gel and an anti-graffiti spray.
Well, some of your murals are temporary, but you're talking about a permanent mural.
Yes, yes.
So are you using golden paint? What brand do you use?
So for the temporary murals, I have sort of cobbled together a hodgepodge of exterior house paint for the base layer. And then I use a combination of different varieties of acrylic paint, ranging from Winsor & Newton to Liquitex or Golden. And then I've also discovered a wonderful, very highly pigmented brand of paint called Nova Colors.
Mhm.
They're super expensive, but they're really, really high pigment load, and they're very, very intense, high chroma. So only a tiny bit goes a really long way. So I'm starting
Oh,
to
cool.
accumulate.
What is
accumulate
it? What does these materials add up to? For not the more modern one you're going to do, but for that other ones, what did it add up to be? Because it
Yeah,
can add up if you're using those expensive brands.
it is. It definitely is. So I'm just finishing up a pomegranate mural that I'm doing for a three-panel door on College, where the Jewish Community Center
Mhm.
has purchased a big building, and they had a plywood wall that was going to get tagged. So I decided to do
You're
pomegranates.
becoming the queen of College Avenue,
I
Rachel.
know, I know. I've decided that my tagline is "Blight to Blossoms."
Yes, blank the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
mhm. You
other
put your name on, you sign them. So do people have looked you up by the yeah, like
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Got it.
So I write my name, and then I also will uh, paste up a little QR code, so that if people scan it, it will take them to my website.
Good.
Uh, and I use this wonderful craft glue called Mod Podge, and I
Yeah.
just Mod Podge my little QR code, and so I can go to the website that's hosting the QR code, and I can see how many people have used the code to come check me out. But for the pomegranate mural, the Rockridge District Association paid for the base coat, which was a gallon of Glidden from Home Depot, which I think was like $25.
Oh yeah.
And then I have had to replace so many of my red paints because if you're familiar, red is a very hard color to get a really deep, rich,
Yes.
full, deep value coverage. It just takes many, many coats. So I have used about $100 worth of paint
Yeah.
for this very small mural.
It can add
Yeah,
up. Now, people are
yeah,
going to be dying to see your artwork. Are you ready to start a little tour so we can look at some of your paintings in your studio? Okay.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And then you can tell us about your future plans.
All right, so
Okay.
let me see how I turn the camera around. Okay, all right.
Lovely studio. Oh yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to go to the front so you can start. I'll start from the front. So we come in, and here's my studio. You can see the outline of the panels from my bookstore mural where they
Okay.
were mounted
Yeah.
on my walls. And then it's a bit of a mess. and I'll take us to the back.
Not
And
very
here are more
messy.
outlines. The
Not
other,
super messy for an artist. It's not very. Of course, it's a new studio. Okay.
it's pretty new,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is the front with my itty bitty pieces. For a while, I
Do
was
you
making little.
take your own photographs, or what do you use to work from?
Yeah, so I have a wonderful photographer who runs a giclée printing business in
Yeah.
Berkeley called Berkeley Giclée.
Oh yeah, they're
And
very famous.
yes, Tony. So
Tony.
he does my professional photography and all of my printing.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, yeah, he's wonderful. So this is a piece that's in the works. It just has the base layer.
Is that a white crayon, or what are you using for
Yeah.
drawing?
So this was so I'm painting on this very interesting surface called ACM,
Hmm.
which is aluminum composite material. It's like the street sign aluminum, and then it has a portrait grade canvas that has been primed and mounted to the panel. What I like about it, here you can see a little side view.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
has like a honeycomb center.
yeah.
Um, what I like about it is that it doesn't warp in weather conditions like stretched canvas. You can't puncture it because it's on aluminum. It's much thinner and lighter weight than a stretched canvas, so it's much more durable. Um,
Excellent. Yeah.
and what I did is I painted the base coat of the purple, and then I just scratched into it um,
Oh, it's a scratch.
I just
Okay.
scratched into it to remove the paint because it's easier to start with sort of the colors that you're going to be working with.
Yeah.
And so this is the second in a series. This is where I'm at with the first of that series, which
Oh
started.
my goodness, look at that dahlia.
Yeah,
You know that the flower of San Francisco is the dahlia, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is where the second painting started, was this layer,
Yeah.
and I have worked it to this layer.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this is my painting setup. These are my oil paints.
Also organized.
I'm so organized. My husband made me this wonderful rolling cart that it started with like an ivy pole.
Hmm.
So all my oil paints are arranged, and here's my little cart where I do my oil painting. And let's see what else. This is my table with work, and here's another piece.
Are you going to stay with dahlias for a while in your fine artwork?
I mean, I just adore them.
Mm.
I every time someone asks me if I'm going to move on, it just breaks my heart.
Right.
Like, I just, but I do accept commissions, and so I will often have requests for flowers that are not dahlias, and I am an equal opportunity flower painter.
Okay.
I also have I have another series that I've started. This is
Ooh.
just a clay print, but oh, I'll show the original. So it's a rose that is on its last legs, and I've titled it Value
Mhm.
because I've decided that we are valuable at all stages of our life,
Right on.
and
Yeah.
a rose that's on its way out is still creating a rose hip, which is of great value and beauty.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a non dahlia.
Uh,
uh, here is my beautiful scaffolding, and then I have pieces that I have
yeah, and
hanging.
all of these are available as cliquet, right? All of them.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
these actually the pieces that are up on the wall are the originals that are still available for sale.
And these are all on your website, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I do offer studio visits for people who are local. So
Hmm.
if someone wanted to come and see a piece in real life. I know it's very hard to sort of get a sense without
I think the
you
large
know.
ones don't come across as well for me anyway. I do big watercolors, and they really don't come across on my
Yeah,
website. You have to be there in person to see them.
yeah, yeah. You really do. There's just something that you lose in a digital translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
then
one,
I
that
I
one you just passed by on the other side of the rose, it looks like a slightly different, to the right of it. Yeah. That looks like a little bit of a different direction of style. It looks a little more abstracted. There's something,
yeah. So
yeah. Talk about that
sorry, go
one.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this actually goes together with this piece.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the second half of the diptych. So let me see if I can move it over here. Oh, I'll put it up temporarily. So these two actually go together.
Yeah. It's a different sort of stylized, slick look to it.
Yeah, thank you. This was uh, a piece that is near and dear to my heart because it was featured in the DeYoung Open in
Oh, right.
23.
Tell everybody that doesn't live here what that is. It's a wonderful opportunity for artists that the DeYoung Museum
Yes,
in San
yes.
Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was their second time having it. It's going to be triennially, so every 3 years, and it was a competition that was open to Bay Area residents of all styles, of all levels, and it was a blind competition. So they did not ask you for a CV. You simply just had to prove that you were a local resident, and you could submit one piece of art, and they accepted 800 pieces of art, so 800 artists, and they had this beautiful salon style show at the DeYoung Museum in Golden Gate Park, where they it in. So they had paintings and photos and sculptures and woven pieces from floor to ceiling. And each room was arranged by theme. So they had botanicals, and they had portraiture, and they had representational, figurative work, and they had abstracts, and they had political pieces. It was just phenomenal. It was so well done.
And it
And
gives an opportunity for all kinds of artists
yeah,
to be in a museum. And that I don't know of another museum that does that. Maybe
yeah.
you.
No, I don't. I mean, they were really groundbreaking in that they were excited to show artists of all levels, regardless of whether you'd showed before. I guess most museums sort of focus on deceased old white men. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah. And if people don't know, DeYoung's one of the main museums of San Francisco. It's a big one.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
think
we have about 5 minutes, and I
I
want to
think
hear a little bit about your future plans and who you may want to, what ideas do you have for your spreading of your work? And you told us about the murals. What else?
Yeah. So I'm very excited to have permanent murals on large spaces in the public. So I have a mural coming up that I'm going to start next week in Lafayette. That'll be a permanent mural. And I am working with the city to get a grant to do another permanent mural on a blighted surface in Temescal, which is a lovely artsy neighborhood, but it tends to get a lot of tags. So
Not
trying,
not that we don't appreciate the that sort of art, but this is different.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to differentiate between tags and graffiti art
Okay.
because amazing graffiti artists who work with spray cans,
Yeah.
but the art that they create is just mind blowing. So there's sort of the difference between that and someone who takes a can of spray and tags their name on
A
on
little
surfaces
different.
all. Yeah, so it has a very different feel.
Yes.
Um, so trying to get grants and funding and working with art consultancies to get funding to do more really big permanent public facing murals.
Yes.
And then in the meanwhile, I'm always working on my own series. So I have the two pieces, the two dahlias that I'm working on in the studio
You
right now.
love doing that. I can tell by looking at them.
Yes, I just oh, it's
You have an agent, you have a gallery, I think, but do you have an agent?
no,
No. I thought
no,
you had a gallery on your website. No.
no. I mean, I've had solo shows, I've had group shows, and so I've had my pieces in spaces, but I don't have formal representation.
Yeah.
I would definitely be open to it if the right match came around. It's really important for relationships like that to be very synergistic and for the gallerists to really understand you and be representing your art the way you want it.
That's
Um,
true. And then also the world is changing, how you advertise your art. I'm understanding that it galleries may not be the only thing going on. And yeah, no,
yeah, they really aren't. And they take 50% of
right.
every sale, which is a lot. You know, I
It
spend
is.
4 to 5 months on a painting. Um,
Exactly.
and so for someone to take 50% of that is
It's a lot.
it's a lot. But there are a lot of
So
artists.
the dilemma that I find for you and for me, because I'm doing sort of similar things, is that you know, you want people to see your art because it's so big in person,
Yes.
but then you're maybe not going to use a gallery. So have you ever used a connection with an interior designer, for example, that would be looking for art for their, you know, their big pack heights mansions that would
Yeah.
want one of your flowers?
Yeah. So I have. I've collaborated with interior designers. What I find is that they will actually work through art buyers and art consultancies,
Yeah,
um, which are organizations that are there to source art for the designers.
yeah.
So I have several art buyers with whom I have a relationship, and if they have if they have a client who has a space that they think might work for my work, they'll reach out to me, and I will send them a mock-up or send them the photos of the art pieces that may work for what they're looking for, and then they will present me on my behalf to the clients.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think setting up relationships like that have more legs as far as they are familiar with your work, and then when they're presenting, they'll know sort of what the client is looking for.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm going to send this out to different places and I'll include your website connection. And so people can come and look at your pieces on your website at least. And then they can walk
yeah,
down College Avenue. So the queen of College Avenue, who's making beautiful things out of old plywood or whatever that's covering the houses. Not the houses, more like the stores and everything. So this has
yeah.
been so great to talk to you. And
Oh,
I'll let you know where we're going to send this. But I know that my artist friends will be very interested. You did a great job. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm excited to reach your audience. I also have a newsletter that I send out every month or two
Okay.
that you can sign up for on my website, and that gives them a sneak peek into what's going on in my studio, what I'm working on, what I'm thinking about, sort of the
Do you have Patreon or not? Patreon?
I carry on. But
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you,
Yeah,
Rachel. Hope to see
thank
you around College Avenue. Love
definitely.
to talk to you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.